Welcome to NEK-TV Rocks, and my guest today is Josh Olney, and you're the golf pro at our local Newport golf course.
At Orleans Country Club.
Yeah. Country Club.
Yeah.
I never think of calling it Orleans because it's right in Newport.
No, it actually is in Orleans. There is a Newport Country Club and a Orleans Country Club. Yeah.
And do you play at both of them, or just
the
Orleans one?
Typically at Orleans, but I do get over to Newport. They're very similar clubs. Yeah.
And you are doing a couple of amazing events that are big fundraisers. How did this start?
Well, the big one that we do is a golf tournament called the Olney Invitational that I started 7 years ago. So as a golf pro at Orleans, I typically manage these tournaments that come to us.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, I wanted to run my own, and wanted to do it as a fundraiser, and thought, no better cause than for veterans.
Are you a veteran?
I'm not. No. My father was in the Air Force, so he is. But no real connection, I guess.
There is now.
There is now. Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
So how did it start? And what exactly do you do?
Yeah. So, like I said, 7 years ago, for whatever reason, I decided I wanted to do this, and so it started out small. So to back up a little bit, we have a lot of, Newport does, Orleans does, we have a lot of fundraiser tournaments that come in to raise money for whatever their cause is.
Yeah.
So like I said, I wanted to do one that, I guess, had my name tied to it. And so we basically, we put out the word that we're having this fundraiser, and people can sign up as a team of four, and just raise some money and enjoy a day of golf.
So how many teams of four do you have?
So we had last, I believe, 3 years, we've had 36 teams of four. So
wow.
For those that are familiar with golf, there's 18 holes.
Yeah.
So that's 2 foursomes.
I know about the 19th hole.
Yes. so that means there's 2 foursomes on each hole to start, which is a lot, which is about as much as you can possibly do.
Sure.
So it makes for a long day with the pace of play, but people understand that it's for a good cause. So yeah,
sure.
So we've sold out the last 3, maybe 4 years, and we sell out relatively quickly now that the word is out there amongst the golfing community.
So they pay to play.
Correct.
In effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you say it's invitational, do you invite people, or do they come knocking on your door and beg?
Yeah. Well, that was the idea initially, was the invitational part of it, but there's no need anymore because people
they're banging on the door, begging, offering you money.
Right. Yeah. So we had, I think the last couple of years, we had 5 or 6 teams on the wait list that we just were too full. So
wow.
So it's not truly an invitational. It was meant to start out that way, but it's more of an open now.
That's great.
Yeah.
And are these mostly local teams, or do they come from quite a distance?
Mostly local. Yeah, a lot of folks from Newport and Orleans. I did notice this year a lot of faces I didn't recognize, so I don't think they come from too far away, but it's the idea, and we make this clear, is the money that's raised is meant for local veterans, so it's not, the money's not sent across the country or to any big organization. It stays relatively close to the community. Yeah. Do
the veterans organizations get involved?
Yeah, so there's we just recently partnered with, I want to make sure I get this right, Vermont Veterans Outreach Program, which is right here in Newport. And then I work with someone on the tournament, Danny Atkinson, who works with another organization, veterans organization. So she's much more familiar with how to get this money out to those in need. But this recent partnership with the office here in Newport has been working out great. He reaches out. He reaches out with needs that they can't fulfill for whatever reason. So in most cases, we can step in and help.
Yeah, so we have at least 3 organizations just in Newport, and obviously this is more than just Newport. Right.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. More certainly the Northeast Kingdom, and a little bit beyond too. Yep.
Yeah. Yep. It's really cool. How much money did this last one raise?
We haven't 100% finalized it, but it looks like it's going to be just over 20,000.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So this
it really is incredible.
Yeah. For a one-day event, it's pretty impressive. So this being the 7th year, I just totaled them up this morning. We're just over 98,000 for that 7-year period. So
yeah, and you've already got reservations for next year.
I got a few notes on my desk. Yeah.
Sign me up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we were talking before we went on air, you mentioned another event that you did yesterday, which sounded truly nuts, but
Yeah,
tell me more. It's great.
Yeah, so yesterday we played, myself and our golf course superintendent, Frank Barcelo. We played 100 holes in one day to raise money for Folds of Honor, which is a national veterans organization. I think this was our 5th year doing that. So yeah, it was a full day event.
That requires doing those 18 holes on repeat.
Yes, yeah. So we take our own cart,
yeah,
so we can move as quick as
crawl
possible.
On and off.
Yeah, take a few minutes in between each round, but yeah, it's more or less nonstop. We started at 6:45 in the morning, and
when it's barely light.
Yeah, and it took about 11 hours total.
Wow.
Yeah,
it was probably fun.
In the beginning it was. Yeah. Got a little tiring towards the end.
I was going to say, at what point?
Right. Yeah, but it's funny enough, being in the golf business and being at the club most every day, I don't get to play that much golf.
Sure.
So that's, I get a lot in one day.
When did you start playing golf?
When I was, I'd say about 12 years old. I had a close friend, actually grew up playing here at Newport Country Club. His dad played, so he wanted to get into it, so I just tried it. And
sucked you right in.
Yeah, it sucked me right in, yeah. So, and then I played high school golf and so forth.
It's funny because it's not a sport I grew up with, because it wasn't one that we had in high school or any other school. And my parents played, but it was only somehow associated with the other generation. But it's really interesting here. Younger people are finding it, and the schools are supporting it.
Yeah, yeah. When I was in high school in the 90s, golf was just becoming very popular due to the Tiger Woods era, and that was a big reason why I played.
You wanted to be like him.
Right. So yeah, so then, as we discussed a little bit earlier, back then golf was considered cool, so a lot of kids got into it, and then I think that kind of went away for whatever reason. But I feel like it's back now, and golf is very popular amongst the high school kids, and we have great junior programs at Orleans, and get a lot of kids to turn out for those.
So kids who are interested can join a club?
Yes, yep. Yep. So just for using Orleans as an example, we have a lot of opportunities for the kids. We offer free clinics on Saturdays. I run a golf team. Newport has their own team, so we compete against each other. We do that on Wednesday nights for minimal fee membership, so the kids can play all summers. Again, very reasonable. 12 and under, I think, play for free.
Wow.
All kids can hit range balls for free, so there's no charge. So Orleans makes it very welcoming for that age group to come in.
It's amazing, because all the things that you never know about, because this is such a big ski area.
Right.
I hear of all the opportunities for young people skiing and for mountain biking and all the other out there, very popular, very involved sports, and I never even think of golf. Yeah,
and I don't think you're not alone, certainly, because I think most kids or parents gravitate to soccer and hockey for sure, and those kind of sports. So it is, like I said, it's nice to see golf's popularity,
because it's a game of skill.
Yeah,
a lot of skill.
Yep, a lot of skill, and then social aspect as well. Like you don't have to be good at golf to enjoy it, or to enjoy some time with your friends.
Do all the schools around here have golf opportunities?
The high schools certainly do. North Country and Lake Region both have successful golf teams, golf programs. Outside of that, I'm not sure about the younger age, but certainly the high schools have successful programs. Yeah,
I'm just curious how kids first get sort of involved or sucked in or even vaguely interested.
Right. Yeah, I know, like I said, Orleans has a lot of opportunities. I know Newport Country Club does as well. They have Newport has summer camps that are very well attended. So I think it's, from our standpoint, it's getting the word out that these opportunities are there.
Are those camps actually at the golf clubs, or say somewhere like Prouty Beach, and then the kids get shipped out?
Yeah, no, right at the course. Yeah, and the courses are both good about giving them the space and time that they need.
Yeah. Sometimes I've driven past the Newport Club on my way to the recycle place, and there's a big sign up, and there's little kids playing. So the sign is warning, I think, that the kids might be running back and forth across the road, or that they're going to hit the ball across, whichever.
Yeah.
But it's nice seeing small people there.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but it never occurred to me to ask, how do they get there? How does that get involved?
Right.
And how would you like more kids to get involved? I mean, what can towns do? Because they may not know either.
Right. Yeah, there used to be, I don't know how, it still exists, I don't know how popular it is, but it used to be called the First Tee program, which was introduced into elementary schools. So it would be a part of the phys ed program. So there was, at least a few years ago, a few schools that participated in that. So I think from the school level, the elementary level, that's a huge advantage, is to introduce it to the kids at that age through the schools, because otherwise they might not have that opportunity. So it would be nice to see more schools participate in that. Yeah,
and the challenge of getting kid-size equipment, I presume.
Yeah. So we're, again, at Orleans, we're lucky to have for those Saturday clinics that we offer that are at no cost. We're lucky to have a large collection of clubs that have either been donated or purchased through the club, so kids can show up to the course, whether it's for that clinic or just on their own, without equipment, and we can provide that.
So if somebody, say, watching this video thinks, I might be interested in that, they could contact the club, come to one of your Saturday clinics, borrow equipment, and find out if it is something that we're interested in.
And even if they weren't comfortable with a clinic setting or a group setting, they can come with their parents and kind of be on their own, and like you said, test it out to see if it's something they would enjoy.
I mean, when we were chatting before, you said that your own experience was going with a friend's parent and son.
Right.
And getting really pulled in. Did he follow through? Or did he disappear and you continued?
No, we both, we ended up going to college together for a golf program.
Wow.
And then obviously met other friends that were in the golf business. Most of them have decided to leave the golf business, but we were two of the few that stayed in the golf business.
So what colleges are interested and supportive of golf?
So there's probably many more now, but when I was looking at schools, this would have been 1999, there was probably about 10 or 12 schools that offered a golf management program. And like I said, I'm sure there's more now, but so when it was a 4-year business degree, but you concentrated in golf management.
Wow. Yep. And did you play on a team at that time as well?
Well, we went to a school called Methodist University in North Carolina, and there were so many golf kids there for the program that the school was, the team was very competitive.
I bet it was.
So I never played on the team. It was a Division III, and I think they won national championships 12 or 13 years.
That was Tiger Woods level.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, but the college we went to had its own course right on campus, and at that time, playing on the team wasn't, a huge goal of mine, I guess.
Yeah. Huh. Do those colleges recruit from younger people playing?
Yeah, they definitely do, just like any other college sport.
Yeah.
And then the difference there is most of those kids are there to learn the business side as well.
Right. Yeah. That's such a smart thing to do, and combine business with whatever the love that you have.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's why we all got into the golf business, because we love to play golf, and now the irony of it is, now that we're in the business, we don't get to play very often. But
so you have to do marathons.
Correct. Right.
11 hours.
Right. Yeah. So.
Well, you can put on your CV now that you're a marathon golfer.
Right. Yeah.
There must be some market value in that.
I would hope so.
Yeah. I mean, it sort of opens so many different areas of where this can go, and I never think of colleges. I mean, usually when people go to college, it's an academic program or a business program, but a lot of colleges or schools don't tie it to a specific industry.
Right.
And yours did. Did it tie it to other industries too?
Yeah, I mean, from the golf standpoint, like a lot of us, when we graduated, we worked at a golf course.
Sure.
And started as assistant professionals and worked our way up to head professional or whatever the title is. But there's a lot of other avenues in the golf business. It doesn't mean you're at a golf course. Like I had a lot of friends that went into the sales end of things, working for, big golf companies. So
equipment.
Equipment. So there's a lot of different avenues other than just, being a club pro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh. I'd also mentioned earlier a friend's grandson is really seriously interested in golf, and we were sort of not letting it cross our minds that this actually could be a career path. But this conversation's really interesting because it could be.
Sure.
And there's so many different ways it could go.
Yeah, and I think I would never discourage anyone from trying to play professionally, but I think that the misconception is that, I consider myself a decent golfer, but the difference between me and the professionals that you see on TV is enormous. So to get to that level is like it is in any professional sport.
Right. It's brutal.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's brutal. Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's true across the board with any athletic endeavor.
Right.
That it's a really hard road to pursue to that level. But if you can bring it into your life and keep it there in other ways.
Right.
Do you have kids?
2 kids, yep. 20-year-old son, Cooper, who's studying at St. Lawrence. 16-year-old daughter, Addison, who's a junior in high school. And
I know you mentioned your son earlier. It took a while before he got involved.
Yeah.
What about your daughter?
Same thing. She hasn't gotten the golf bug yet. They both played.
Yet.
Yeah.
I heard that.
They both played with me, growing up casually, but they were both super athletes and more soccer, basketball, that kind of thing. But yeah, like I mentioned before, my son got we call it the golf bug, a couple years ago. So that was exciting for me, for sure.
Yeah. And what's he doing in college?
He's studying data science, and he plays some. He's, like I said, a good athlete, so he's playing soccer on some club teams there. Yep.
He's not pursuing golf and the golf industry. No. He'll keep it as a sport on the side.
Exactly. Yeah.
One of the other big interests right now is adaptive sports. Is that something that the clubs can help with, particularly as you're such a veterans support group?
Yeah, it hasn't come up yet, but I'm sure they'd be open to it. I did attend a clinic years ago down by Dartmouth, where they had veterans and these different adaptive pieces of equipment, I guess, which was amazing to see what they could do. Haven't seen any of that around here yet, but our program, our tournament, as it raises more and more money, we're starting to think of other things we can do on a larger scale, so that that may be something that's in the cards down the road.
Yeah, it's certainly something that the awareness is growing, and the Paralympics really help with that.
Yeah.
I mean, the Craftsbury, the ski centre there, has a big program and a lot of involvement with the adaptive side.
Yeah.
And it's just incredible.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, I lived near a sort of big grassy area, and there used to be somebody who would hit balls there early in the morning, and I didn't notice at the time, but I learned afterwards he was blind.
Oh yeah.
And he was going by sound. And he did it early in the morning because there was no traffic and nothing else that was interrupting his auditory acuity.
Oh, right.
And it didn't really register for me just how big a deal that was.
Right.
And we're talking decades ago here.
Right.
So I'm sure that there must be a big adaptive community, and certainly with more and more veterans coming back with
and the
major challenges.
The PGA of America that I'm a member of, the Professional Golfers Association, they have a lot of veterans programs, and within those, they're doing a lot of work with adaptive things. So it's something that I have access to as far as the training portion goes. So again, that'd be great if something like that did come to this area.
Yeah. I would bet it will. As it's
Yeah.
moving slowly into
Right.
other components.
Right.
And golf brings some things that some other sports don't. It's quieter, for one thing. It's more internal and relying on your hand-eye coordination, the skills I don't have, I might add. But there certainly seems to be a more meditative quality to it than some sports.
Right.
That's a ferocious team activity.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's, you hear people say it all the time, but that's one of the huge advantages of golf is you can play it as a 4-year-old or into your as late as you want to play. Just using Orleans membership as an example. I don't know our average age, but it's probably 50 plus. Anyway, so there's it's a great activity for senior citizens or any age group, which is
and there are certainly people, I'm sure, well into their 80s who are still, in fact I know some who are well into their 80s who are still playing.
Yeah, it's, you get that, like I said, that wide range of ages from toddlers to folks in their in their 90s or whatever it might be. So and skill is nice to have, but it's not a necessity for golf. It's as long as you can enjoy it and spend some nice time outside.
And I'm sure you can smack a ball, but it would be nice to have a sense of direction for where it's going.
Right.
Yeah. Where do you think the sport is going?
It's definitely going up right now. So again, we spoke earlier, but pre-COVID, the golf industry as a whole was certainly not headed in the right direction. And then with COVID and people were looking for things to do because there were so many restrictions. Golf was one of those things that was open fairly early, so folks could get outside. And we saw, since then, we've seen our membership numbers almost double. And I'm
glad somebody benefited from COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And last year was the busiest year that I've ever seen at Orleans, and this year was even busier. So I don't see that going down anytime soon. And a lot of the new members that we get are that folks in their 20s and 30s, that 40s that weren't playing very much before, but now they're dedicating some more time to it.
And enjoying it, obviously, because they keep coming back.
Right. Yeah.
And it is a social game. I mean, it doesn't seem to be initially because it's wide open space and you're playing with just 1 or 2 people.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a huge aspect of golf is the social side. Yeah.
Yeah, and you don't have to have your own golf cart. It is actually something you continue to do on your feet.
Yeah.
I assume.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, again, using Orleans as an example, it's probably 50-50, or maybe a few more people ride than walk, but you always have the option to walk if that's what you enjoy.
Yeah. It's also more gender mixed now.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. I think, back in the day, certainly young people and women, I don't think were given the opportunities to play as much. And now you see, we have a couple men's leagues. We have a ladies league that is very well attended, couples league that is very well attended, these junior leagues that are also very well attended. So there's I almost want to say again a 50-50 split.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, my mother played occasionally, but that was in another country, and there was always this sort of disparaging, the girls girls can play over there. Or if they used the word ladies, it was in a put-down way.
Right.
It's not the He-Man
Right.
image.
Right.
So it's really nice that that's changed. And as I've looked, occasionally I flip on TV or something and I read something or see something about women involved in golf.
Yep.
There are some really skilled, tough players there.
Yeah. 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 Just speaking on a professional level, just like you see the increase with the popularity of the WNBA now.
Yeah.
You see that on the golf side as well, because there's so many talented women.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Yep.
they were always there. It was
Right.
just
Correct.
the opportunity is not there.
Correct. Yeah.
So if somebody watching this is interested in learning more about golf, how can they go about that and not feel that they have to jump in at the top,
Right.
play with people who are way better when they have no clue what they're doing?
Right. Yeah. I think some people are reluctant to get into golf, one for cost,
Right.
which is can be a reasonable argument, but from the junior standpoint, the kids, again, Orleans can provide equipment and everything for zero to very low cost.
What about adults?
Yep. So there again, we have a lot of different price levels as far as paying to play golf.
Right.
So you can play later in the afternoon, or certain days of the week are quite a bit less expensive. And there's times we are busy most every day, but there are times that we have slow times, and we could encourage people to, that are reluctant to get out there amongst the crowd, that to play at those times, or even just start at the driving range practicing before they go right to the course.
Yeah, so there's an opportunity for people to use a driving range so that they can actually learn how to hold the club.
Right. Right.
Hit the ball.
Right. And I would certainly, anybody that's brand new, I would certainly encourage them to do that first.
Yeah.
Before getting out on the course and getting discouraged, I guess. Yep.
Yeah, I would imagine it could be pretty overwhelming.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Not to mention it's a long course and you can get lost.
Right. Yeah, that too. And there's a lot of, for those that aren't familiar with golf, there's a lot of, I don't want to say rules so much, but, etiquette, things that you should and shouldn't do. And of course, people that aren't familiar with it.
I was going to say, how do you know?
Right, exactly. So kind of easing into it. And I just in the last couple of weeks, I've given a couple, call them playing lessons, where we just go out and talk about those different scenarios. So when they are out there on their own, they're not guessing as to what they should or shouldn't be doing.
And really offending people if they do it the wrong way,
Right.
through absolutely no fault of their own.
Exactly, right. Yeah. Yeah, no, I tell people, to me, it doesn't matter how good or bad you are at golf, as far as just keeping the pace going. Like, I'll play with anybody. I don't care, again, how good or bad you are, but as long as you can keep it moving, to me, that's what most people can get frustrated about, is if someone's really, slow. Yeah.
Yeah. And is that something that can be changed? I mean, I presume people are slow not just because they're standing around talking.
Right. Yeah.
But because they really don't know what they're doing.
Exactly, right. And that's where, like I said, these playing lessons that I gave kind of just give them a little insight as to, what they should be doing and when, kind of thing. So, yeah.
And basic things, like I know there's a whole load of clubs, and I'm sure there's a particular reason why you use a specific club at a specific time.
Right.
But most people would have no clue until somebody walks them through it. There's a lot of sports where all you need is a ball and a bat.
Right.
That's pretty basic. It's really hard to mess that up.
Right, yeah.
But if you have a choice of however many clubs are in that big heavy bag.
Right. And that's, when I give lessons to beginners, that's one of the number one questions is, why do I have...
Do I really need this lot?
What's the difference between this club and this club? And so, yeah, that's very common for people not to initially understand why there's so many clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It does add to the price of the sport, though.
It does, yeah. Yeah. And there's, like with anything else with, online shopping, there's so many used golf clubs out there that you can find at a reasonable price.
Yeah.
You certainly don't need to start out with, max you can have is 14 clubs in a bag by the rules, but you certainly don't need to start out with that many to get started.
I've seen them at yard sales too.
Yeah.
which sort of, that's a lot of money you're giving away there for very little.
Yeah, there's plenty out there. Just check my garage. I've got quite a few.
You should have your own yard sale.
Yeah, I should.
Or donate them to your golf club.
Yep, and that, a lot of people do that, and that's, as I said earlier, with a lot of our junior clubs, as kids outgrow their set, the parents, donate them to our program and, give back in that sense.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Yeah.
It's certainly a way of keeping it open and available for other young people.
Right, yep, exactly.
So the future's pretty good.
It seems to be. Yeah, knock on wood, but yeah, like.
When is your next fundraising event?
We're, as far as just in general, you mean at the club? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one for your fundraising.
Mine, yeah. So that's
veterans.
Just happens once a year in September. So nothing until then. But there again, as it gets bigger, we
have to plan.
Yeah, I have to plan. And I've procrastinated the last few years and didn't start until, because we have almost, I wanted to mention this earlier, we have almost 100 sponsors, like local businesses. So you have to contact all them to see if they want to do it again. So a huge part of that money that's raised just comes from donations, local businesses, individuals.
It's not just fees.
Right, yeah, the fees, the way I look at it is the fees kind of cover the cost of the tournament, and then all these donations that we get from a lot of people that play, but also local businesses, and adds right up.
And for that, they get their name out there and the knowledge that they've just done something really good.
Right, yeah, we put signs out on all the holes, and like I said, almost, I think we were 96 sponsors this last year. And
that's amazing,
and
actually.
Those folks are giving anywhere from $100 to $500 each.
Wow.
And we do memory signs, so anybody that's had a family member or friend that was a veteran that has passed, we have a whole section where there's a lot of memory signs, and they donate money to put those signs out. So yeah, that's, like I said,
do you involve the local organizations like the VFW and the others?
A lot of those, American Legion, and they donate.
Veterans of foreign.
Yeah, they donate. We call them whole sponsors, so they sponsor a whole. And then actually meeting with the Orleans group this afternoon or this evening to talk about offering some free meals for veterans in the Orleans area.
That's great.
Yeah, the Orleans Legion. That's what I was trying to think of.
Yeah, I can never remember the individual names because we have the Eagles as well here.
Right.
And as well as the VFW and the other ones.
Yeah. So they do get involved, which is great.
Yeah. And do you need volunteers?
We do. Yeah. And that's something that we waited a little too long on this year to try to find some volunteers. But yeah, we the day of the tournament, we can always use a handful of people, and of course people are willing to help us whenever they can. So you
can use this as a way of recruiting your volunteers.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. No, happy
they should contact you.
Yes. Yep.
And if they contact you early, then you don't have to procrastinate.
Exactly. Yeah.
We aim to make it easy.
Right.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Yes, thank you.
And it's really wonderful to know we have so much up here that so many of us just don't even know about.
Yeah. No, I think in the golfing community, a lot of people know about it, but outside of that, they don't. So I appreciate you getting the word out.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy to do it, and I was really happy to learn about this.
Yeah, good.
So thank you for coming in.
Great, thank you. Appreciate it.